Welcome to Exit Interview and Follow-Up Interview, What's the Difference? This mini training is provided by the Post-School Outcomes team at the University of Oregon on behalf of the Oregon Department of Education. We often receive questions about what's the difference between these two data collections. And so the purpose of this mini training is to identify some similarities and differences between the exit interview and the follow-up interview for students with disabilities. Let's start with the exit interview. So the exit interview is an optional data collection. It does require a signed consent form. That signed consent form can be found at transitionoregon.org. And the purpose of the exit interview is threefold. First, it helps to prepare the student for future plans. It's an opportunity for you to talk with the student about what it is they want to do and maybe help them receive additional transition services or get involved in extracurricular activities or maybe identify courses of study. The second reason for doing the exit interview is that it provides an opportunity to tell the student about the follow-up interview and start to introduce them to the notion that they're going to be contacted 1 year after school, after they exit school, and asked questions from the follow-up interview. The third reason for conducting the exit interview is to collect contact information from that student or from their families so that you have a variety of mechanisms for following up with that student in the next year. So maybe it's grandmother's phone number, auntie's email, multiple cell phones. Just you want to collect as many ways as possible to connect with that student in the next year. Again, the exit interview is optional, so school districts can decide when they want to conduct the exit interview, school districts or schools. You could conduct the exit interview starting with freshmen and then update it annually. That would be a wonderful way to familiarize the student with the follow-up interview, confirm and collect multiple forms of contact information, and multiple opportunities to connect students with future plans and services that might support those future plans. At the very least, if you're conducting the exit interviews, you want them to be done near the end of the student's last year in school. And the reason for that is because you want the most current contact information. So again, collecting multiple forms of contact, phone numbers, emails, mailing addresses from as many people who might know that student, family members, siblings, younger siblings especially is a really good contact. And then, of course, again, helping prepare the student for success by connecting them with adult services or other transition services that might help them beyond high school. All right, so let's talk about the follow-up interview. It is a required collection. Every district must attempt to contact every student who had an IEP in place when they left school. For the follow-up interview, a signed consent is not required. The purpose of the follow-up interview is to determine the effectiveness of programs for students with disabilities, to determine whether these students are prepared for further education and employment beyond high school, and to provide information that informs your secondary transition programs, either in development, implementation, or evaluation. The follow-up interview is conducted with a former student or their designee, someone who knows them well, 365 days after they leave school. So let's talk about what these two data collections have in common. In both cases, you want to use conversational tone. There are data collection protocols available with specific questions to ask, but you want to engage the student or their designee in a conversation and then click the correct response, as opposed to reading off a list of responses and saying to the former student, now tell me which one of these categories you fall into. It's more along the lines of, hey, tell me what you've been doing the last year. Have you been working? Tell me about where you're working, how often you're working. So again, a conversation rather than a strict, structured interview. Both of them are conducted by school or district staff. Ideally, you want that person to be someone that the student and or their designee is comfortable talking with, someone that the student is excited to hear from, wants to share what's been happening in their life for the past year. In both cases, the interviewers need to be familiar with the interview protocol, not only the order in which the questions are asked, because not all questions are asked to all students, but also to be able to engage in that conversational tone of the interview. Both interview protocols are located on the website, transitionoregon.org. And in either case, if you need additional training or technical support, don't hesitate to reach out to us at pso@uoregon.edu. So again, these are some of the differences and similarities between the exit interview and the follow-up interview. And as always, if you have questions, reach out to us. We're here to support you.